So today we're going to move on in chapter 3. We're going to start with something called nested if statements. Okay. And it's going to be the same layout of the if statement that we used last Monday, where I had an if and I had some sort of Boolean expression. And then I had my left and right set of braces. And then because I'd like to put more than one line in there, and then I have an else, and then, I can put more than one line in there as well if I want. Well, what a nested if statement is, what if I took this layout and continued it inside of these blocks? I put if statements inside of if statements. So we're going to do a little, I'm going to do a little guessing game, and I'm going to ask you a question, and, it's going to be based on this. I'm going to try to.
Wouldn't it be easier to use logical operators?
Not always. No, not always. So I'm going to start with a question, and I'm going to ask you to enter a 1. If your what do they call that when you have your creature? Your somebody help me out. Yeah, like in Harry Potter.
Player character?
Yeah, your whatever, but whatever your anyhow. I'm going to ask, does it live above water? If so, I want you to enter a 1. If it belows water, I want you to enter a 2. Okay, because I'm going to try and guess what it is. And then I'm going to ask you a second question, and I'm going to ask you a 1, does it fly or does it crawl? And then down below, if you happen to enter a 2, I'm going to ask you a question. Enter a 1 if it swims, enter a 2 if it crawls. And I'm going to try to guess what your animal is. So I'm going to come back up to my first if statement, and I'm going to say, okay, this outer 1 or 2, I'm going to call it CH1. And then this inner 1 and 2 will be the CH2, where I store the variables. All right. So I'm going to say if. I'm going to ask you the question before I come in. So up here might be a question and an input. Please enter a 1 if your animal is above water, or a 2 if your animal is below water. And I'm going to come in and say, okay, if CH1, I forgot my 1. If CH1 equals a 1, then I'm going to come in and I'm going to ask a question. So I'm going to ask a question. If your animal flies, enter a 1. If your animal crawls, enter a 2. So now inside of here, you can see I'm putting a second if statement. I'm nesting it inside. So if CH2 equals 1, I might guess your animal system dot out dot println. Give me an animal that's above water and flies. I might system out.
Eagle.
Eagle. That's what I was thinking as well. Fly, eagles fly. Okay. And here's where, I'm getting this whole nesting thing coming, because inside of this block, once I'm in, I don't care what the outer one was. Okay. Above water and crawls, I might do something like system.out.println.
Oh, so I think it would cause an error if you write crawl 2 ways, possibly, if you're using it as a variable.
No, I'm using the variables CH1 and CH2. So if the user enters a 1 for CH1, I know that it's going to be above water. So then I'm going to ask the question, does it fly or crawl? This time I'm going to input CH2. Okay. So this is a little what we call pseudocode. We're not really heavy into writing an actual program, but if I gave this to you, would it be easier for you to turn into a program? Yeah. I mean, you may, instead of system.out.println, I might put in here display, because now that we know how to use GUIs, we'd rather use GUIs. So display turtle. Else, coming down here, if it's not a 1, I'm going to assume it's 2. I'm going to ask a question again. I'm going to say, if it's below water, if it swims, enter a 1. If it crawls, enter a 2. I'll come in here and say if CH2 equals 1, I might display what? Something that's below water that swims. How about display baby shark do 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 do? Somebody sing it. Baby shark do 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 do. And then I have my else. Give me something that's below water that crawls.
Alligator.
Crab.
An alligator. And well, that could be a tough one because that could be above water and crawl.
That's fair.
Crab or octopus?
Hippo.
An octopus doesn't.
Actually,
Let's just
okay,
go.
an octopus both swims and crawls. So
All right.
let's say crab.
Let's go with a crab, right? Yeah. Yeah. Did you ever see this
Fish.
game? I have this game right here. See that? See that? It's called 20 questions. And basically you pick a category or something, and then it asks you a question and you go yes or no. And it'll eventually guess what you were thinking. It's kind of bizarre, but it can do it within 20 questions. We had a skimmed down version. I can name that too. We did it in 2 questions. We did it in 2 questions. Okay. Anyhow, the point is I can have little ifs statements inside of other if statements. They're called nested if statements. And you can see it might be a situation that looks like that. Another thing you did, section 3.4, we have something similar to if else statements, but we have more to it. And an organized way to lay it out is this if else if situation. So for example, I might ask the user to input your salary. And if your salary is greater than $250,000, I might display a message that says, so if you ask me how much I made and I said, well, I make over $250,000, what would you say?
Good for you.
Good for you. Display good for you. What if that wasn't true, I would move down to the else. If that was true, it would go out. It would exit out of this if else statement. It would never see the else. And normally this could possibly be indented and indented and indented, but the way we write an if else if is we keep it lined up. If my salary is greater than $100,000, what might you say? You might say something nice. How about nice? Nice.
Nice, that's a lot.
Nice. Nice. That's a lot.
Good for you sounds kind of sarcastic.
I did mean it sarcastically, just to be clear.
Good for you, bro.
There you go.
Okay.
Add the snark mark at the end, really.
Yeah. How about a smiley face or something? Yeah. Else if salary is greater than $25,000, we might display.
You're getting
That's
there.
good enough, bro.
Good. Okay. Good enough. How about dude instead of bro? Let's get a dude in there kind of deal. And then finally, we have what we would call the default. It wasn't in the first group and jumped out. It wasn't in the second group and jumped out. It wasn't in the, so else, what might we display? Somebody that makes less than $25,000, and we might display, here we go with some snarky comment. Oh boy.
Get your money up, not your funny up.
Get your money up, not your funny up. Better than nothing. We could have some fun with that. So if I picked a salary and I said $80,000, is it greater than 250? And the answer is no. Is it greater than 100? No. Is it greater than 25? Yes. So it would display and then jump out of the loop. So if I asked you, what is this range for me to display? Now that's a lot. Nice, that's a lot. What's that range? Well, we're going to do math terms. We're going to do a parentheses, 100,000 all the way up to what?
249,000. No, it would be, wait, hold on. It's greater. Yeah, 200. Yeah, there you go.
250,000 with the
Wouldn't it-
square brace, because that means inclusively.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Inclusive, not inclusive. So something from your math world. So if you fell in this range, you're not over 250, but you're over 100. So that would be that range of numbers from 100,000 to 250,000.
Can I ask a question, Professor?
Absolutely. You just
Um,
did. So
Ideally,
ahead.
within the program, do you prefer us to use like the braces, like with like wherever it says display, just to make it kind of easier,
Well,
just to be
this will be,
consistent,
um,
like the left and
that's
right
up to
braces?
you. So what he's saying is, if you remember up here, because I have more than one line, we have to have the braces. Down here, because it's a single line, he's asking, should he put braces in there? If it's a single line, you don't have to. Personally, I wouldn't put them in. If that's your preference to put them in, you can put them in.
Okay.
Okay. But it's totally optional when it's a single line. Good question. Need to think of that next time. Section 3.5. Well, last week we had relational operators. We had the relational operators. And there were 6 of them: less than, greater than, less than equal to, greater than equal to, equals to, and not equals to. We had the 6 of them. And our term was they compare expressions. Result was a Boolean. Is X less than 2? Gave me a Boolean. And that was my whole true and false. And that got me started with those if statements. Well, in the world of computer science, there's something called logical operators as well. Again, more operators. We had assignment operators. We have relational operators. We now have logical operators, okay, helping us do different things. But the logical operators are going to, again, give us a Boolean result, which means I can be using these in my if statements. Okay, there are 3 of them. The double ampersand represents in our Boolean world and. 2 vertical bars represent or, and the exclamation, just like we used it up in the relational operator for not equal, represents not. So
Professor.
a lot of you, go ahead.
Does single ampersand have a use in Java? Just one ampersand
Yes,
instead of the double?
it stands for not. Yeah, this
Okay, what is greater preference?
hang on, let me finish Jacob's question. So if we, and I'll show you an example in a minute, but if I did this, not of true, what would that
No,
be?
sorry. The symbol.
1 ampersand? You
Yeah.
don't want to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't stand for anything. Okay.
Oh,
I
it
thought
just
you said exclamation.
okay.
My bad.
Nope, sorry. You're
Okay.
good.
Who else was talking? Somebody else.
Me.
Go ahead, Anthony.
I was wondering which one of these is evaluated first.
We'll talk about that right here.
Okay.
Order of precedence. Okay. Now, first of all, let's go back to somewhere along the line, you had some kind of logic in a course. And this is a logic table. And when we talk about logic, that's working with the ands, the ors, and the nots. So if I start thinking of, X's and Y's, X and Y are going to be Boolean because I'm going to compare Boolean. So what possible values can X and Y have? Well, they can have the value of true or they can have the value of false. So I'm going to list all possible options. True, true, false, false. Because I know there's going to be 4 of them because there's 2 variables. There were 3 variables, I'd have 8. This is going to be true, false, true, false. All right. Fire it out. True ended with true.
True.
Good. And I had a logic class at Millersville back in 1980. And you know, we had this thing, I forget it completely, but it was the $1 million example. And it had something to do with if I win $1 million and I give you 100,000, that's good. If I win 100,000 and I don't give you, if I win $1 million and I don't give you 100,000, that's bad. If I don't win $1 million, but I give you 100,000, that's bad too. And if I don't win 100 or $1 million, and if I don't give you, yeah, so the only time and is true is when both cases are true. What about or? When is or true?
When either X or Y is true.
Right, when one or the other is true. So that's going to make this a true, this a true, this a true. And down here, when X and Y are both false, that's got to be false. And of course, not, the not of true is false, and the not of false is true. Now, there's other ones, like there's one called exclusive or that we don't really get into, but exclusive or is one or the other is true, but not both. So we don't get into that one. Now, Anthony had an excellent question. What is the order of precedence? And I had said it is on page 140 of our book, and you will see what gets done first. The negative, right? The negative, let's see, what do we have? Multiply, divide, and modulus, add and subtract. So it looks like my arithmetic operators go first, then my relational operators. Less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, go next, followed by equals to and not equals to. So I might have something like X is less than 2. Does that evaluate out as equal to Y greater than 4? So we would need
Does
to do
precedence go from first to last or last to first?
like in line number 4,
As in what gets evaluated
it goes
first?
from left to right in your equation.
Okay.
Okay. So just like up here, when you did multiplication and division, you went left to right. When you did addition and subtraction, you went left to right.
I mean, like, is 1 evaluated before 4?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Then we come down here and we have our logical operators, the third group. And gets done first. Or. And then finally, if we have any of these other operators that you'll slowly see as we go throughout the course. Okay, so that's there.
So comparison, wait, can I see a bit more?
If
So
I,
there's,
th- if I threw this page up at you, I already have the answer circled. Why did I do that? Maybe I did it in pencil. Waka, 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 waka. I did. So right now I'm looking at page 141 in the book. Don't look at my answers. Ta-da. I'm looking at page 141 in the book. If you have your book, great. If you don't, you can look at my book. True and false. If you're all on mute, you can holler the answer out. And we can go faster than waiting for you to find the space bar on your laptop. True ended with false.
False.
True and true.
True.
False and true.
False.
False and false.
False.
Help you with that one, right? So we got all of the ands. table we had just taken a look at. The next group. First one, true or false?
True.
True.
True or true?
True.
True.
False or true?
True.
True.
False or false?
False.
False.
Not of true?
False.
Not of false.
True.
True.
Yeah, we got those pretty good. All right, let's take a look at this group. Right now, A is 2. So if I say, does A equal 4, what's that?
False.
False. Is B greater than 2?
True. Yeah.
True. So now I say false or true. You notice how the order of operations went inside, did the relationals before the logic. False or true does in fact give me a true. 6 less than or equal to C.
Yes.
A greater than 3.
False.
False. In our computer world, how do we represent false? Zero, true is 1.
1.
Yeah. What answer did I get here? True and
False.
with false. Yeah, that's got to be false. The next one. Final answer.
True.
Final answer is true. Can I get a hell yeah from a redneck girl?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay. The next one, is it true or false? And if I don't trust these. If you have any thoughts of I don't think this is right, y'all just give a holler. You can be a holler back girl. What
Does can the negation operator be compared with a single line or a single ampersand to create the not and or not or?
Well, you would probably do it outside the parentheses. But no, you can't put it with that operator. Number 4, what did we get? Is A greater than negative?
True.
That's a true. The whole thing's true. Well, if I see A is greater than or equal to -1, and I know this is an or statement, would I even have to check the second one?
No.
Yeah, that's correct. That's enough. A is greater than 2, true or false?
False.
And what's the not of false?
True.
It turns out to be true. Okay. Pretty good. All right. We're now going to jump to page 183 in your hymnals or in your textbook.
What section is that, Professor? I have the ebook.
It's the end of chapter 3.
Thank you.
So we're going to take a look at question number 9. Number 9 talks about a shipping charge. Sounds like someone is scrolling away.
That's me.
All right, let's see. I got the fast freight shipping company charges the following: 2 pounds or less. So if it's 2 pounds or less, what am I thinking? If it's less than or equal to 2, if it's over 2 pounds, but not more than 6. So that seems to me like it's going to be something like that. Looks like I'm going to have a category from 6 to 10, and then finally a category greater than 10. So the first thing I'm going to do, and I'm just getting ready because I'm going to ask how many pounds it was. Okay, so that means I'm thinking already this is going to be some sort of if statement like we've been building. If it's less than or equal to 2, else if it's less than or equal to 6, else if it's less than or equal to 10, else. Now what's going to go inside of there? Well, the problem says it's $1.10 for every 500 miles shipped. So this is 110 per 500 miles. 220 per every 500 miles. 370 and finally 380. All right, so every 500 miles. So I'm going to think of some test data, and because this is how I have to do this. And a couple of you have started turning in 3.1, and yeah, your 3.1s, they need a little work because you don't have the correct calculation. So I'm going to make up an example. Somebody give me pounds. I'm going to need miles, and I'm going to need to know what the cost is. So make up a pounds, somebody.
4 pounds.
4 pounds. Give me the number of miles.
1,500 miles.
1,500 miles. Okay. So 4 pounds is going into this category, and it's $2.20 for every 500 miles. So what should the cost be?
$6.60.
$6.60. So when I write this program, I have test data, and this is also going to help me write it. What if this time I said, okay, I want to go into 1, right? To make sure I'm in this category. Give me the number of miles. Well, let's see. It's every 500. So what if I said 400? And then what if I said 1 and I said 600? Well, if I have 1 pound and it's 400, how many, or what's the cost going to be?
$1.10.
$1.10. So when I'm doing my algebra, I need to make sure something's going on here. If it's 600 miles, how can I figure out what it would cost? Well, you can look at the chart and do the table, but you need to now slowly be able to turn this into actual code. So let's see, if it's 600 miles, this guy gave me the number 3. This guy gave me the number of 1. This guy's going to give me what times 220?
2.
2, okay? So that's going to be, or excuse me, times 110, giving me 220. So I need to figure out ways to get this number, because that's going to be, I think, my tricky part. All right, so if I'm writing pseudocode, I'm going to start with, what is it I needed to input? First thing was pounds, input pounds. Second thing I need to do is input miles. And now if I know if it's, so I'm going to start my if statement. If, tell me what to put in parentheses.
If pounds is less than or equal to 2.
Less than or equal to 2. Then I'm going to do a block of code. And I'll get into that in a minute, but I just want to take care of this outer part. Now, I'm going to keep going. Else, if.
Pounds is less than or equal to 6.
Pounds is less than or equal to 6. Good. Then I have a block of code. Else, if. Looks like less than or equal to 10. Pounds is less than or equal to 10. I have a block of code. Finally, I have an else, which is my last block of code. After I do that, I know I'm going to find the cost. So I want to come out of here. I want to display pounds, miles, and cost. So me writing this pseudocode, after I started looking at test data, is really the way you should be programming. Getting something down on paper, making sure you understand the problem, because like I said in 3.1, I have students that are not getting the correct, they have logic errors. The outputs, everything looks good, The output's just not correct. So inside of here now, you need to do something with the miles and end up with cost equals yada, yada, yada. In here, cost equals, and so on. Questions? What? Oh, okay, sure. I'll put you in the group so you can work on programming this. That's not a bad idea. Thanks for that idea.